Game time, put me in, coach. Today we are talking about Kyrie Irving. Was his vaxx status the reason why the Nets did not win the NBA championship? My answer to you guys is hell no. Of course it was not. Now, I'm placing the blame on Kyrie. I'm placing the blame on Kyrie because he decided not to be the point guard, which means Kevin Durant needs a guy to set him up. Not because Kevin Durant can't just go ISO and destroy anybody that's in front of him, but it's a lot easier to catch the ball in positions where the defense is already at a disadvantage trying to guard one of the best scorers the NBA has ever seen. So when you have a guy who can set you up, now Kyrie has handles. In fact, they say that he has some of the best handles in NBA history. Okay, let's play devil's advocate and let's say that that's true. Shouldn't he be playing the point guard position, having a coach like Steve Nash? Kyrie should be taking notes from a guy like Steve Nash because Kyrie has all of the moves that you need to score, but if he was actually kicking it out to a Seth Curry, kicking it out to Patty Mills, lobbing it up to Nick Claxton, he could make waves and become one of the best players, one of the top players in the NBA if he was to take on at least a little bit of Steve Nash's playing style, which Steve Nash could give him plenty of tips and tricks because, again, he was the NBA champion. He was a back-to-back MVP. Again, if we're talking about since we're talking about Kyrie's vaxx status, the reason why that was not an issue is because
we're really close, almost close to 100% of the players in the league are 97, 98%.
Steve Nash got out-coached by a defensive-minded coach. So when they came in with an offensive strategy, it just didn't work because the Boston Celtics knew that the ball and the majority of the shots were going to come from Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. The coach for the Boston Celtics knew that he wasn't going to have to worry about the entire team. He was only going to have to worry about one or two guys. Those guys being Kevin Durant and Kyrie. Maybe Seth Curry, maybe Patty Mills, maybe. But the main guy that he had to stop was the guy that he actually stopped. The next thing when it comes to Kyrie's vaxx status is this. There was guys, in fact, the entire NBA, in fact, I believe the number was 98% of the NBA got vaxxed, and they still ended up in health and safety protocols. So again, Kyrie not getting vaxxed was not the issue. Now, was it a issue? I could say it was an issue for this team, but it was not the reason that they got swept. Because when Kyrie came back, he did score 50. But my issue with Kyrie has always been the fact that he's not playing the position that he should be playing, which is the point guard position. Because if you have some of the best handles in NBA history, you should be putting them on display constantly. And the best way to do that is at the point guard position, especially when you have a coach like Steve Nash, who was a back-to-back MVP in the NBA. Because Kyrie hasn't done that. Kyrie has not been in the MVP conversation. But imagine if he took notes. Imagine if Kyrie Irving decided to average 10 to 15 assists per game. And why can he do it? He has Kevin Durant, Nick Claxton, and he has a plethora of shooters, being Joe Harris, Seth Curry, and Patty Mills, plus Kevin Durant, plus a Ben Simmons. So for Kyrie not to be able to get 10 assists, that's a terrible thing. Really quick, the issue was not, and I repeat, it was not his vaxx status. The problem with the Brooklyn Nets came down to coaching. They weren't ready to play against the Celtics. They didn't have a strategy to actually stop the Celtics, but the Celtics had a game plan and strategy to stop Kevin Durant and Kyrie, and it was very successful. Next problem is Kyrie misses games. It doesn't matter if it's a vaxx status, an injury or something else, Kyrie Irving has never really been a guy that's going to play a full season.
To apologize to Kyrie Irving on national television.
I know people may not know this, but when Kyrie was at Duke, this shows how great Kyrie is. He only played 11 games for Duke and was still the #1 pick. That is crazy. But also what's crazy is the fact that he shoots just as much, if not more, than Kevin Durant. And if you're on that team, who would you rather take in shots, Kyrie or Kevin Durant? I'm going to go ahead and say Kevin Durant should get the majority of the shots. But if Kyrie was running the show like he should be, the shots that he would get would be much easier, because now opposing teams have to account for the fact that he's been passing it. Those are the actual issues that the Brooklyn Nets are having. So now that Kevin Durant has finally decided to stay with the Brooklyn Nets, and I believe that that was just a ploy to get Kyrie an extension.
You know who I am. Y'all know who I am.
Now Kevin Durant has to use his voice. Kevin Durant has to use his voice now to get his team on the same page. And yes, that includes my guy, Kyrie. So again, the problem was not his vaxx status. That was not the issue, because he still played at the end of the season. He still played in the playoffs. Chemistry or no chemistry, they needed a better game plan. So the issue was the coaching. That's what it really came down to. I know a lot of people don't want to blame Steve Nash, but if you don't want to blame Steve Nash, bring in a defensive-minded coach. I have a question for you guys. How do you feel? Do you think his vaxx status actually hurt this team? If so, get in the comments under this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.